It is do or die hockey for the New York Rangers. Florida Panthers, New York Rangers on Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi. We're almost ready to go. Just getting some of the final touches ready for the show, mostly tax makeup.
Hey, all's ready to go.
All right. It's a big matchup tonight. The New York Rangers, the President's Trophy winners. For a lot of people, including myself, I thought this would be a Rangers win, but they're fighting for their playoff lives as the Panthers have been so strong in these playoffs. The ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਦੋਂ ਜਮਾ ਦੋ ਸਥਿਤੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਟੀਮ ਲਈ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ Rangers ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਪੈਣਾ but like what do we need to see from this team for them to actually wake up?
Listen, guys, they have to wake up on the power play if they need to get something done. We've seen that even back to the Carolina series. Power play, bilkul top hai gaina. I think the last 14 opportunities, they've maybe squeezed out one goal. But even in the Carolina series, no luck. They have chances to put some of these one-goal games away. 3 one-goal games in the series, and they couldn't get it done. So they're going to have to do something on the power play.
Related to that, the Stars got to wake up. We've been talking about that too. Panarin hasn't done much. Zibanejad had a weak assist in the last game. But that's pretty much it. Like, the Stars got to wake up and do something. They need some offense here in this series.
They're getting the depth help, right?
They are, but they've got a tough forecheck. They put a lot of pressure on the puck, and the Rangers haven't been able to escape that tough forecheck.
Exactly.
The reality is, Lafreniere, if he's your leading goal scorer, if Barclay Goodrow's up in the top 3 in this series in terms of goal scoring and point scoring, that's a problem. It's good for Barclay Goodrow and Lafreniere, but it's a bad problem for the New York Rangers.
You're getting help from the depth, so there's no excuse for these guys to say that, oh, we didn't have any help in this series. So Panarin, Zibanejad, a little bit of heat.
Can you imagine if Igor wasn't in net?
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Imagine if Igor wasn't in net for them. This would be long over this series. Like, he's been keeping them in the games whenever possible, but he can only do so much.
Oh, for sure. And JSC Hona, udda dusre paase bhi ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ Sergei Bobrovsky 9 ਗੇਮਾਂ ਖੇਡਿਆ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 7 ਜਿੱਤਿਆ. Now this series is shifting back to Florida. It's a home game for the Panthers. So this is a great situation for the Panthers because ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਕਮਾਲ ਦੀ ਗੇਮ ਖੇਡਦੇ ਆ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਬੜੇ ਤਗੜੇ ਫੋਰਚੈਕ ਆ ਪਰ going back to Florida, what kind of mental state do you think the Rangers are in now saying, we lost on home ice, we got to go to Florida and beat this team who is playing quite well across the board, but especially at home?
I think the Chue are coming out, boys, because they're going to wrap up this. They're going to wrap up the series tonight, all right? The Florida Chue will be out.
Sorry, I had to explain.
Not these Chue. I promise you that. Hey, you know what? I already did the check with them before the show, so make sure everything's ready to go. But you know what? If they're going to wrap it up tonight. I had predicted them in 6, so you guys know I'm almost
whatever,
right.
buddy.
So it's happening tonight, boys.
You're like bottom 3 in our rankings for hockey.
The pressure.
Close,
it's not over yet. And
for you, it is.
No, the pressure's on the Rangers. The Rangers have to come through, and I just think they don't have it in them right now. Florida's looking way too confident. They're relentless on their forecheck. They're relentless in the offensive zone. It's going to be tough to stop them.
I hate to agree with this guy. I know you do too, but
I'm not going to agree with him.
You're not going to agree with him?
I think this is going 7.
You picked the Rangers.
That's
why.
I think you got to wake up at some point, and they have the firepower, right? Kreider, 1 goal in the series, not good enough, but history tells you in elimination games, unhe 16 goal kitte, tied with Mark Messier for the most in NHL history, not Rangers history, NHL history. You've also got players like Zibanejad that need to be better, and Artemi Panarin. Donuts thus far in the series, but this is why you pay the guys big money. I think the Stars in New York have it in them to win this game anyways.
But Randeep, it doesn't matter when guys like Bennett are looking like superstar players there every game. No look passes. Gus Forsling, what an amazing goal last game. Everybody is confident in the Florida Panthers locker room right now, and that's very dangerous.
Well, let's talk about some of those depth guys. You mentioned Sam Bennett, and he has been, in a lot of ways, I look at this player, and he reminds me of like Dustin Brown with the LA Kings. Same style of hockey that the Florida Panthers are playing. It's relentless forecheck. They can swing games, and sure, he doesn't have the scoring chops maybe of a Dustin Brown in his prime to that degree, but ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤਕੜਸ਼ਾ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੇਮ ਖੇਡਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਉਸ ਮੁਕਾਬਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਦਲ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ he's got that and he's really clicking this
ਸਪੀਡ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਖੇਡਦਾ ਧੱਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਮਾਰਦਾ ਸਪੀਡ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਕੈਲਗਰੀ ਚ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਨਿਕਲ ਬਾਹਰ ਤੂੰ ਜਾ ਇੱਥੋਂ
ਉੱਥੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਚਿਨ ਅਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ
ਹੁਣ ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ ਕੈਲਗਰੀ ਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ he's out here and he's performing, guys, and he's probably one of the best players in the last 2 games for the Panthers. So he's a power forward, we know, big guy, big body, and he was a bit of a write-off in Calgary. But now he's probably become their, I'd say, top 1 or 2 guys in the series.
Yeah, when you talk about cult heroes or playoff heroes, Sam Bennett is trending in that direction for the Florida Panthers.
We're talking about Bennett, not Kachuk, who we're showing. He was also in Calgary at one point, but Bennett is the guy who was outcasted. Kachuk I mean, looks like a really bad move at this point.
And that is a live shot as well. So as the players are getting ready, they're going to hit the ice. They're almost ready to go. So if there's any major lineup changes or some breaking news, we'll share that with you while we are doing the pregame show here. Gerp's on his phone texting everybody. Probably his food order for the intermission as well.
You got it. You got it. Pizza's on the way.
He's texting his mom for some roti.
All right. So okay, we talked about Sam Bennett. We talked about that player and his impact. But ਜਿਹੜਾ Sasha Barkov, ਇਹ ਇਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਖਿਡਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪੈਟਰੀਸ ਬਰਜਨ ਦੇ ਰਿਟਾਇਰਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵਧੀਆ 2-ਵੇ ਖਿਡਾਰੀ ਇਹ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਸੈਲਕੀ ਟਰੋਫੀ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਤ ਗਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਤਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਰੇਂਜਰਸ ਦੇ ਸਿਤਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ how much of that is actually Barkov?
Look, Randeep, you and I are soccer fans. I'm a little bit older soccer fan, but you still follow the game. There's some people in midfield that just control the pace of play. That's what this guy reminds me of. He can slow it down, speed it up whenever he wants, like you're saying, two-way guy known for that. But remember, he did score 39 goals a couple years ago. He's a top offensive player as well. So look out for him tonight because he's going to put the series away.
He's a mix of Kevin De Bruyne and Gennaro Gattuso.
Hey,
all right? And that's what they are. If you're
I'll
talking
take you back further. Juan Ramon Riquelme.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Very
another
good.
guy who
I like that.
yeah.
I like
I was
that.
going to say, how are you an older soccer fan when Janda is older than you? But
No, I dropped off. I
you're
meant
old
to say I
soul.
dropped off at some point.
I am young at heart.
He's a Zizou fan. He likes to.
But that point about controlling the tempo of the game, right? ਇਹ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ what also helps you is when your team is so aggressive on the forecheck and you're able to take away possession from the New York Rangers and they don't even have the puck that much, especially in the offensive zone. Sasha Barkov is an unbelievable defensive player and an offensive player, but the team ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਛਾਣ ਆ ਕਿ ਇੰਨਾ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਪਾਉਣਾ they do such a good job of not even allowing attacks the other way. And for the first time in the series, I want to say, ਪੰਜਵੇਂ ਮੁਕਾਬਲੇ 'ਚ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ Rangers ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀ puck ਦੇ ਨਾਲ. Prior 4 games, they didn't even have a sniff.
And sometimes when you have such a stud superstar player who controls the game and it's such a high hockey IQ, other players on the team pick up stuff from him. You've seen that with the Oilers. Zach Hyman, sometimes he's looking like Draisaitl out there, and he even credits Draisaitl. He's taught him how to use his body. Same thing with Barkov. You see guys the way they're shielding the puck, winning the puck on the boards. He has a big role to play. He's a true leader.
ਕੈਪਟਨ ਐਸੋ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰਨਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲ ਵੀ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਫਲੋਰੀਡਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ
ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੂੰ ਭੰਗੜੇ ਦਾ ਕੈਪਟਨ ਹੈ
ਮੈਂ ਚਲੋ ਰਿਟਾਇਰਮੈਂਟ 'ਚ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਬਸ
ਗੋਡੇ ਦੁਖਦੇ ਨੇ।
ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਗੋਡੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੁਖਦੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਮੈਂ ਹਲੇ ਕਰ ਲੈਣੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੰਪੀਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਕਰੀਏ
ਨਹੀਂ
ਪੈਂਟ ਨਾ ਪਾਵੇ।
ਆਪਾਂ ਕੈਲਗਰੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਹਿਊਬਰਡੋ ਜਦੋਂ ਗਿਆ ਕੈਲਗਰੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਖੇਡ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਮਾੜੀ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਾਰਕੌਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾਲ ਖੇਡਣ ਲਈ ਸੋ ਬਾਰਕੌਫ ਵਰਗਾ ਖਿਡਾਰੀ ਬਾਕੀ ਲਾਈਨਮੇਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੋਰ ਵਧੀਆ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਸੋ ਇਟਸ ਅ ਹਿਊਜ ਬੋਨਸ ਫॉर ਫਲੋਰੀਡਾ ਟੂ ਹੈਵ ਅ ਗਾਈ ਲਾਈਕ ਦੈਟ ਔਨ ਦ ਟੀਮ
When we start looking at both of the teams, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਕੜਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਇਸ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਸਿਤਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ Kachuk, Verhaeghe is doing a great job in this series as well. Sam Bennett, Sasha Barkov, two-way game, right? Maybe he's not putting up the same amount of points, but ਉਹਦਾ ਅਸਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਸਦਾ ਹੈ. On the other side, we talked about it. Group of players that are not stepping up on the other side. Part of that is Barkov, but you've got players like Lafreniere, Barclay Goodrow, Adam Fox, who's a great defenseman, but he's got 3 assists. That's really the thing to talk about.
Same way that Bennett's a success story for the Panthers, you have to credit Lafreniere because he's really been criticized heavily.
Totally.
He's stepped it up and he's scoring goals, not easy goals. He's in the greasy areas, even the one where they had the goalie pulled
last game. He's played fantastic.
Yeah, a couple games ago they had the goalie pulled. He's in the tough area. He's taking cross checks to the back. And he's still scoring.
But it's the old John Tortorella line he used in Vancouver. Asked about David Booth and how great of a game he had in Vancouver, and he said, hey, that's great for David Booth, but the rest of our lineup didn't show up. So good for David Booth that he's the best player, not good for our team. It's kind of the same idea with Alexis Lafreniere here, where it's great for him. He's picking up the goals, but you shouldn't be talking about Panarin. We should be talking about Kreider. We should be talking about
and this is where, there is a part of coaching that plays a big role here, and that's where it comes in, where this is where the great coaches can manage these personalities and get the most out of them during these tough moments.
Okay, so how much pressure is Florida facing tonight to finish it in Florida? I know the pressure is entirely on the New York Rangers. They're the best team in hockey during the regular season. Their backs against the wall. But how much is on Florida here?
I think the pressure is pretty equal, actually, to meet because if Florida loses this game, they got to go back on the road and play the President's Trophy-winning team on the road in their building in MSG. So I think the pressure is pretty equal on both teams here tonight. They both got to win this game. I think whoever wins this game wins the series. Obviously, Florida wins, it's over. But if New York wins, they're going to go back home, and I think they're going to have a bit of that momentum.
I don't think there's any pressure on Florida tonight because they can win anywhere. They're going to play a solid game tonight. If not tonight, Game 7 they will. The only pressure on them is from me because I want to win our little,
Nobody cares about your opinion on that.
But you know what? Let's see how it goes tonight, Randeep. I don't think they have any pressure. All the pressure is on New York. They are the best team in the league through the regular season. It's all, the pressure is normal.
For me, ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ Florida ਤੇ ਹੈਗਾ because ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ New York ਨੂੰ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, out of all the goalies left in the playoffs right now, there's one guy I do not want to face in a one-game winner-take-all.
Yeah.
The way that Igor's been playing, it's him. So that's the scary part. If you go back to New York, sure, your team's been better throughout, but that is the one goaltender remaining in the playoffs that you don't want to play.
He can steal that game.
Yeah,
just
no,
himself.
for sure, he's the guy. But tell that to Gus Forsling, who's looking like Mario Lemieux out there. So let's see what happens.
Ooh, the end. All right, we got that. All right, let's talk about the
Blue
Western
liner
Conference a little
Lemieux.
bit. You saw the live shots. The guys are getting ready to go in the warm-ups. If there's any breaking news, we'll share it with you. But ਬੱਲੇ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ 'ਚ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਭੰਗੜੇ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਆਈਸ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ they are one win away from the Stanley Cup final in Edmonton. The next game is back in Edmonton. The way that this series is played out, what are we thinking about the Edmonton Oilers? I'll be honest, I thought maybe against the LA Kings, I was a little too ambitious picking the Kings to win on that. But the last two rounds so far, I've been wrong. What is it about this Oilers team that's making them so dangerous right now?
It's their defense. I never thought I would say that, but it's their defending that's putting them over the edge. Yes, their power play has been hot. Not lately, but it's been hot overall. But it's their defense throughout these playoffs, especially
Even 2 for 3 in the last game, right?
But especially those last two games versus Vancouver, I feel like something clicked and something changed. And moving forward, their defense has just been playing at a different level.
I don't think I've seen an Oilers team that's been so fully bought in. Every guy is playing to their full potential. And even if there's a mistake, it doesn't mess them up for the rest of the game. They're keeping it together. So I don't think I've seen such a composed team. You know what? You have to give credit maybe to Chris Knobloch here. He faced a lot of criticism in the Canucks series. Maybe he was being outcoached in the first couple of games, took out the goalie, juggled the lines, but he's got these guys playing together as a unit.
His lineup moves have been really solid the last 2 rounds, and his temperament. He doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. Like I've covered a fair bit of press conferences, coaches' press conferences in my career. His press conferences are the most boring probably I've covered. But that's a credit to, he gives you a lot of meaningful information, but he's not going to get emotional about it one way or the other. He's not going to rip his team. He's not going to applaud them unnecessarily either, which is when things go wrong, guess what? Your team takes that personality sometimes too.
Even keeled like Bill Belichick. But talks more.
Different temperament there.
But talks more. Maybe a little more
happier. A little happier.
A bit more of a player's coach than that. And you know what? Look at the penalty kill right now. The Oilers have not allowed a goal on the power play for the Stars. So you have guys like Janmark, Connor Brown, fully bought in. These guys are. Connor Brown was a write-off. He didn't score for so long. He's scoring in the playoffs. He's a great assist in this series, and also killing penalties. One of the top penalty killers. You got to give credit to the coach.
And I think that, the ability to have a very short memory. Darnell Nurse in Game 4 has a terrible, terrible first period. ਹਰੇਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਦੇ ਪੱਕ ਲੱਗ ਕੇ ਨੱਚ ਜੇ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ
ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਸੀ
ਲੱਗਾ ਸੀ
ਉਹਦੀ ਤਕਦੀਰ ਬੜੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ
ਨਹੀਂ ਪਰ ਆਖਰੀ 40 ਮਿੰਟਾਂ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੜੇ ਤਕੜੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਡਿਫੈਂਸ ਖੇਡਿਆ so I think from that perspective Darnell Nurse is an example as well.
And credit to McDavid, Randeep, for stepping up when he was asked about hey, who's taking this question that Nurse is in the dumps right now. He said, I'm going to take this question, and he defended his guy. That's got to be really refreshing for Darnell Nurse to hear his captain, the best player in the world, to back him up.
All right, we're going to have some fun here. Obviously getting ready for Game 6 between the Rangers and the Florida Panthers, but it's also off-season for a lot of teams, right? Everybody's coming out with their crazy, bold trade predictions. We have our own here at Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi too. So we're looking at the off-season a little bit. I'm going to start off with mine. Basically a prediction of what kind of trade's going to happen this off-season. So I'm going to Nashville. Mere hisab de naal, I think the trade that's going to happen is UC Saros getting traded to the New Jersey Devils, not Jacob Markstrom, for Dawson Mercer going back the other way. A 50-point player, young player who's going to get paid. They got a lot of forwards they got to pay in New Jersey, and he's kind of in that top 6 range. And you know what Nashville needs? They need wingers. That was one of the big tells in that series against Vancouver. They didn't have enough scoring. They didn't have enough depth throughout their lineup. I like this because I think you have Saros who's going to need a new contract, so the value gets cut off a little bit, and that's why this, to me, is an even deal. Mercer going one way, young player, and a veteran goalie going the other way.
You can see it happening because Nashville does have the young guy, and I hope I'm saying this name right, Askarov?
Yep.
Askarov?
escrow.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and he's a guy high hopes on him, so I think Mr. Janda might be onto something.
All right. Gopi, why don't you go next?
I mean, you said bold, so there's it's got to be a bit wild, this trade. So, I mean, I'm thinking John Tavares for Jacob Markstrom. 1-for-1 straight up. Obviously, Toronto's going to have to keep about 50% of that salary to make things work. He's making $11 million for another year. Toronto needs a goalie. We know that. Markstrom's got 2 years left at $6 million. And Joseph Wall had a great season last year. I think having Markstrom as your starter for 2 years, Wall playing backup would be a great move. You let Samsonov go, you let Martin Jones go, they're UFAs, and you make this deal happen for the next couple of years.
And could you imagine if they make that deal, they get a little bit of cap room as well?
Yeah.
Maybe some wiggle room, maybe they let somebody else go and they sign Elias Lindholm too? It's a reunion in Toronto?
I mean, they both have no movement clauses, so it's a long shot. It's bold, like you said.
It has to be
Let's
bold.
see.
I like it. Yours is bolder than mine. All right, Tack, you.
Not so bold. But I'm going to let you know, this has been out there, and I think it's going to happen. Marty Necas.
Show some character.
Marty Necas is going to be traded. I know it's happening soon. And Philip Hronek is a guy who I don't think the Canucks will be able to pay the big bucks that he wants. So, guys, keep an eye out on this. And, yes, Jim Rutherford is very familiar with the Hurricanes organization. So I think this trade is going down. And I don't think it'll be too long till you hear about it.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens on that front. I think yours was not bold. We'll call that like the mildest take, but that's fine. That's okay.
Mild,
There's nothing
only
wrong
mild,
with
please.
that.
Hot, medium, mild.
Chalo, dekh rahe hain ji. Game 6 is coming up. New York Rangers, will they stay alive, or are the Florida Panthers going to the Stanley Cup final? You're gonna have to tune on Omni Television to